Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 100 of the Immigration Lawyers Podcast. As you see, it's the 100th episode, so it's a little special. So I'm doing it in a little bit different kind of way. I've actually been vacationing in Palm Springs right now and have the pool behind me, which makes some noise. And the pool guy just came to service a place right when I've set aside to do a recording for a midweek one. And so it's a little bit of noise, and I'll see how that works out at the end. But it's a special time right now. The American Immigration Lawyers Conference is going on in Orlando. I didn't go this year, and I usually have a great time going there, but it was a little too far, and a lot of family stuff was going on, so I couldn't make it. But we'll definitely be going to the next one next year. So I hope everyone's having a good time that's over there. Just typical craziness in immigration. This whole F2A becoming current, the family-based second preference becoming current on the final action date, but not on the date of filing date, and what that means, and if it means we can file concurrently or not. Still confusion about that, and 100 other stuff that's going on in immigration as usual. But that won't be too much of the focus of this podcast. This one, I'm just going to kind of reflect on the 100th episode and doing this 100 times and what I've learned, and hopefully it could help you um, in what you're doing, whether it's marketing or research or studying the law, and just getting out there and networking. So, why did I do this podcast in the first place? The idea first came when I started my own firm, but I was kind of shy to do it. In one sense, I wasn't comfortable with my knowledge with immigration law to go and talk about it publicly like this. And then also, it was kind of just being shy of seeing yourself on video or seeing yourself in recording. And it's still sort of uncomfortable, and it is for everybody to hear it themselves and spot the things that they say incorrectly or the ums that they do. I've cut down the ums a lot. You can't hear them the first ones because I was sitting edit out each so recording and editing these things would take forever. But after doing that so many times, I got better at on my own, just not saying and pausing and to overcome it. And that was really helpful. So one of the things about recording yourself and listening to frequently is it cuts down on your ums. I was listening to a recording of one high up immigration officer that I was hoping to interview. I just said a couple of weeks ago, and every three words he said in there. And after about 5 minutes, I just couldn't handle listening to it anymore, even though it's preparatory material for the interview. So it could be really bad for some people. It's something really to focus on. And so when I thought I'd do a podcast, one of the main reasons was I was doing a lot of EB-5 cases, investor cases with the old firm that I was with. And because I wanted to continue that, I thought to myself, well, I just started my own firm. I'm a young guy. How are these people overseas going to even trust that I'm going to do the job right or pay me this much money? And I thought if I have a continued to sustain presence online, like a podcast, they'll feel more comfortable in hiring me because they'll say, oh, this guy's not going anywhere. He's not going to take our money and run. Every month or every week, he's posting videos out. So it shows that he's into his field and he's doing it. So that was one reason. Another one was to help become a better public speaker. Another main one was, and this is probably tied with the EB-5 situation, was every time I'd get together with immigration attorneys, we could talk 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, no problem, just talking about the stuff we talked about. We really click always, and just talking about practice and how we deal with clients and life and all this kind of stuff. And because I enjoyed it so much, I thought, well, I'll just record it and put it out there, because if we enjoy it so much, and almost every immigration attorney I run into, we talk like this. I'm sure other ones would too. They just are not running into each other, or they're in office, or they don't get to do it as much. But if they can hear us talking, they'll feel like they're part of it, and it'll develop the community more. It's just something I had fun doing, so I might as well just record it. And so that was one reason. Now, one difficult thing about being public is we can't talk about everything we want to, like case-specific stuff that's really juicy and informational, just because of the nature of confidentiality and all that. So that I saw cut down on it. And so part of my initial goal of how the conversation would work out actually changed because I couldn't talk the way we could talk openly in a private setting. Then it became more interviews where I talk with people about their practice growth, and sort of like a television format, to hear what they do. And the last episode 99, was with Carl Schusterman, and I launched it a couple days ago, but so many people have contacted me, so excited, and how much they liked it, and how much they like Carl and everything. So it was really nice to see, just the community coming together. As soon as a podcast episode comes up, hundreds of downloads immediately. Most of them, I assume, are attorneys, and then it could hit 1,000 even. And so, with such a niche podcast, the fixed group really push towards people who practice immigration law, attorneys primarily. This kind of size is much more than I thought it would be. And so the community is so good. I get so many emails. People contact me when I go to events. There's always 2 or 3 people that say, they listen to me. They never contacted me before, but they're regular listeners, and they appreciate what I did, and they learn so much. And that's wonderful. It's such a good thing. So what have I learned doing this? Well, when I'm talking about immigration law, I got to be very careful what I say, because although this isn't legal advice and you should contact attorney and all the disclaimers, people are going to listen and go by this. Now, to be very careful of how I say the law, and that's why I don't really talk about immigration stuff too much, or court stuff too much, because I don't practice on a day-to-day basis. I academically could understand it and know, okay, 232, whatever, 212 says this, or 237 says this, or something. But I'm not going to immigration court in front of an IJ haggling over these things. So I don't want to talk about something I don't do, or talk about 601 waivers. I don't do those anymore, about like, the best way to do this or that. Then that's why recently I've started bringing experts on board that could talk about that. I thought that would be better, like, federal litigation, stuff like that. Stick to, my stuff, which is marriage-based cases, and if needed, L1s, and, extraordinary ability, EB1A. Like, I don't do O1s, that kind of stuff. But it's really forced me to study everything and restudy it before I say it out loud. So it's made me a better attorney. So this also goes to the videos I've done for my law firm, which I haven't done a long time because I'm so focused on the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox stuff. But before I come and do a video, I have to, even a minute long video, I have to get and study that half an hour to an hour, make sure everything I say is correct, and then make sure the wording I use is correct, because people are going to go by this and accuse me of stuff later. So when you do social media marketing or online marketing, where you're just talking about the law, even blogging, writing, the great thing about it is it forces you to become a better attorney. And there's an airplane going on above us. But forces you to be a better attorney. So, if you're seeing a lawyer who's writing a lot, I do a lot of videos, not garbage videos, just says hire me, but just stuff that has context to it. They're probably going to be a good attorney because they have forced to think about this before they say it, hopefully. Then again, I see videos and writings that have errors in them too, and probably I have some errors too. I can't blame anyone else. It's the same, goes all around. But another thing I learned is just how friendly the immigration bar is, with all the friendships I made, the mentors I made, and that was actually another reason why I started this, because I wanted to have a mentor. I started on my own now, and working solo, I work from home most of the time. It was good to have friendships through this method to get to know people, and also find mentors. So if you see, I was really blessed when Carl Schusterman came, and he served as a mentor, especially for business and marketing. He's a really genius at this stuff, and he's really one of the first. Stephen E. Allaire, professor and immigration attorney in, I think it's in Pennsylvania. He's a great guy. He's always been a resource. He's so kind. When I first started, I would email him. He'd respond to me. He'd send me a copy of his textbook that he published for my course at Pepperdine, so I can review that. Just having people like that you can go to and ask questions. Then when it comes to the various consular officer interview, they've been a resource for me as well. Mandy Fearbacker, Christopher Richardson. And there's so many people I talk to, and I hate to miss them. Sabrina Damas has always been a good friend of mine, helping me better understand what's going on in immigration court. And yeah, I'm saying names. I don't want to cut out all the other people that were so kind and would come on the interview show. And people that are behind the scenes don't want to be recorded, but they're always there. The podcast opened up the door. For example, I've contacted people in media, contact people in USCIS that wouldn't necessarily talk to somebody, but when they come in the guise, and not guys, but the coming forward as a media person, which is this is almost a news situation that I'm dealing with, so I'm part of the media. They're more open to talk to me, and I tell them, if something's going to be recorded or not. This is for you're being a source for some recording, some publication. And it really opens up a lot of doors, get more information, to be better immigration attorneys, and to spread this information to others. Now, one thing I was doing, my goal had been originally to do these once a week, and there was big periods where it was hardly once a month. I should have reached episode 100 a long time ago, but now I've kind of doing this a lot, especially because I'm so focused on the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox and having material for it. But there was a period of time, if you look in the back episodes, I was doing once a week. And one thing that forced me to once a week was just to talk about what kind of stuff I'm learning and dealing with. So as I was studying, I was always taking calls and doing cases. I'll take notes of what I'm doing that week, so I have stuff to talk about on Sunday night for the recording I was there. And that was a really fun period because it forced me to really focus on what I'm doing, what I'm not doing, what I'm learning. And it's like every week, as immigration, you're learning tons of stuff. The week might end, you'll feel like you didn't do anything. But if you do take notes, have the patience for that, you'll see you've been doing a ton of stuff, just research, and not even law management stuff, business stuff. There's just so many things that you have to do on a day-to-day basis to run a firm. any firm, but primarily immigration, because there's so million different little things to it. It's not the same thing over and over again as people might think it is. Even this basic marriage cases always have wrinkles in them that you wouldn't expect pop up that you got to research again. So that's what's really interesting in putting it all down, and that's something I recommend doing. Just spend a couple weeks, at least for a month, and write down everything you're learning, and you'll be amazed at what you're learning. And it helps you organize your thoughts much better. This idea of journaling, which I've always had a difficult time doing, like I'll do it for a week and then not for 6 months, but just recapping what you're doing and rethinking stuff and reorganizing in your head is something personally that could be very successful. And that led me to really create this idea that I always work with when I'm, it's part of my mission, and break down foundation on what the practice is. And I teach it in my law course. It's a business-based decision, but it's called the Triangle of Success, very generic name, but it really is. When you're having a firm, it's really for all business, but when you have a solo firm in particular, I imagine like a triangle with three different points. If you want to be succeed and all that, that you got to have all 3 points working together to grow. So the first point of the triangle of success would be, customer service and managing the firm together. So you want the client to get the best service possible, because that's going to lead them to go into another aspect of the triangle, which is leave good reviews online and tell their friends. So that goes into branding, entrepreneurial aspects. So by having good customer service and managing your firm properly so they get good service, that the people are going to leave reviews that are good. And those reviews will lead to more business, which it feeds off itself, which then goes to the third prong of it, which is studying and being a technician. So the more you study immigration law, the better lawyer you are, the better customer service you could provide. And I really should have started with that first thing. You study immigration law a lot and become a great attorney, which leads to great customer service, which leads to great reviews, which leads to more clients that allow you to use that information more and allow you to learn more. Because it also goes the other direction, not just by studying will you be a better attorney, but by studying, you'll be a better branding and marketing person for your firm, because one, you'll have more confidence when you're explaining to somebody that you're the attorney to hire. And secondly, like I do, you could take your experience, write a blog or do a video about it, and that'll lead to things too. So this triangle goes in both directions. So if you're studying, you have better customer service, more success leads to more branding. Or if you're studying and doing blogs, it leads to more marketing, which leads to more clients over customer service. So these three, if you have these three pushing together and all work intertwined, it really brings up the firm and could lead to a lot of stuff. Because, right now it's the middle of the week. I've been vacationing on Palm Springs. I've been working too, but it's a great lifestyle I've built to create for myself. And I've reached my goals last year, what I planned, I thought would be my career, which is make, the amount of money and clients I had and stuff, and just continue it. But once I hit my goals, then they got boring. So now I had to do some reflection and realize I want much higher goals. But as it is right now, I can still do the same thing, few cases a month, just sit and do podcasts and have fun and travel and all that kind of stuff. That's what the toolbox is going to be a lot about. For attorneys that are stuck in the big firm grind or stuff, it shouldn't be the case for immigration attorneys to be struggling like that with the amount of business that there is, the amount of work that there is. These big firms need to bring on tons of clients to get this big machine going. But if you're a solo person, you could do it as well. Again, just do some basic marketing stuff, do some good service, spend most of your time studying immigration law and talking about it. And then you could succeed and have a good life and just run things and do it, vacation based like I do. Travel around with your family, spend time at home with the family. The whole system of having a machine is not necessary. Now, I might have to do that myself, a small one, because I want to focus so much on creating the immigration lawyer's toolbox and have this other business endeavor that's related to immigration law, where it's kind of forcing me to eventually hire an associate to help handle caseload because I'm doing like a side project that's its own business. But if I didn't want to do that, if I didn't have fun doing these podcasts and talking to immigration lawyers and teaching about how to do business and how to do immigration law, then I could just stuck with my company and my law firm, that is, by myself, and you'll work 20 25 hours a week and make top 1% of a solo practitioner. It's that possible no matter what city you are. It doesn't necessarily have to be in Los Angeles. I am now. It probably does help being in a major city, but America's full of major cities, so that shouldn't be that much of a problem. But what else have I learned? Well, to do these podcasts has forced me to, because I do my own editing, to learn video editing software. And if you watch these videos, they're on YouTube or on LinkedIn now on the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox page. They're not some fancy edited stuff. And it took me forever to learn them. Just as something I've done recently is putting a bar at the beginning. So for these short video clips that are 2 or 3 minutes, There, you probably see this on Instagram and stuff. People add like a bar at the bottom which shows how much time is left of the video. So you don't scroll down, you'll see, okay, that bar is moving fast. It means only a minute left or something like that. And I thought it'd be an interesting thing to do. So it took me like 5 hours to figure out how to do that. Now I could do it in less than 10 seconds to set it up, but it took me like 5 hours to go to different websites to understand how I'm supposed to use the video editing software that I use to do that, to do it myself. Now maybe someone could have taught me a little bit faster and stuff. But I get a kick out of doing stuff on my own. Captions would be something I love to do more often, but it takes so much time to do captions on videos. And for me to record somebody, send it to someone else who captions, come back, review it, takes so much time anyways. I just do it myself when I think it's something that's worth it. But that's something like that, an assistant associate in the office, I would probably have them do, and it'd be really helpful to get the word out. Now, what benefits has the program had for myself? Well, there's benefits to my practice. There's benefits to myself personally. And they're all intertwined. One of the coolest things was, and I have to thank Susan Hill, a listener, that I got my position as associate or adjunct professor of immigration law at Pepperdine Law School because of the podcast. She was a listener and she was retiring from that position, and she recommended me. And Pepperdine was so kind and bring me aboard. What a excellent! I went to Loyola Law School, which is kind of like a competitor, especially the rankings. But I really have to give it to Pepperdine. It is a really great school. Student body, after being law school liaison for Southern California for like 5 years, visiting all law schools, I could really honestly say Pepperdine has the best student body out of all the schools in Southern California, including the higher ranked schools. And the staff there, and they're so hardcore. Like with my curriculum, they were so hardcore on me that I do it right and checking on me and stuff. And it was really tough on me, but they're like, we got to keep standards high here. This is a competitive environment. We have people that are going to go in the field and find work and stuff. The Pepperdine Law School degree has to mean something. So we're really tough on that. And I appreciated that. And I worked my hardest, and I'm still working harder because I can be a much better professor. So much learning to do in that area. But that was a fascinating and excellent thing that the podcast allowed me to do. And so, having said that, it's just the connections that come from people that are listening and who could hear that you care about what you do. I mean, one thing about doing immigration law or marketing for it, you really got to care about what you're doing. You could fake it and just do marketing just because there's money in it, but not really like what you're doing. But I wouldn't recommend it, and it comes through. You lose out on a lot of the opportunities unless you're really into this. For example, when I'm talking about the triangle of success, study immigration all day, you got to be really have fun studying it. If it's like a burden to do it, then you should really just do something else, because it's going to drive you crazy sitting there and studying this crazy stuff. Eight CFR, blah blah, INA, something all day, and thinking about it, the court cases, AO decisions, and it won't be fun if you're not having fun with it. Another cool thing that happens, I was quoted in the New York Times, which is always a big thing to have that my name and the podcast was listed on there, and I saw a boost in the podcast subscribers right after that happened. So that was a really neat thing that happened. So that was like personal stuff. But with regards to clients, there's no indirect relationship. I mean, clients don't look at my podcast to hire me itself. But what I've seen is when it comes to comparing, if they're down to like two attorneys they want to choose and they're comparing what they're doing, all the media presence, especially the podcasts I have, helps them make a decision of me or the other person, because they know I'm here, I'm dedicated, I'm studying this stuff, I think about it. I have this network of all these people I interviewed, which obviously I could talk with for help if I needed to. So that is what helps their confidence and desire to hire me. And I've seen that happen with a lot of my business cases, like E2s and L1s. They'll come in and they'll say like, "Oh, I saw your videos and stuff, and I tried listening to some, but I didn't listen to the whole thing." I mean, obviously this is intended for lawyers; they'll get bored, but they saw my enthusiasm, what I'm doing. They wanted to hire me. And then there's other stuff like uh, when I started, when I run into a special case I haven't done before, and I'll do my in-depth research on how to handle a case, I would take better notes and I'll turn those into podcast episodes. And then I did one about abandonment of a lawful permanent resident status, and I just went and studied every single law there is. Luckily, I was also the adjunct professor of immigration law at Loyola Law School, so I have like free access to all the Westlaw Lexuses, all that kind of stuff. So I went and did a academic study of all the abandonment of lawful permanent resident status cases, and I did a write up from one of my early episodes, and I had put all the text online and the video online. And that frequently leads to clients coming in who have abandonment issues. And most of the time I can't help them because I'm not going to immigration court, or it's not really something I do regularly. It was just a one-off case I did. But that one-off case that I did and wrote the notes, garners me a good amount of money just to handle those kind of cases. When people find that I've done all the research and I've talked about it, they feel more comfortable in hiring me. because I know what I'm talking about. I'm not faking that I've done this long. And the cases I do handle, they're tough, but they usually work out. So that's one of those things when you put out, it's all the information for free. Now it's overwhelming for a client to do, seeing all that information. So it's not necessarily putting the information out there is going to be troublesome and you're going to lose clients. But it's good because you get your clients, and also there's other immigration attorneys that need your help, and they're probably maybe giving bad advice. But having the information out there will save them their clients and it'll avoid them having to learn from mistakes. They could just learn from the information that's out there. So I really see it as helping the community. I'm sure that page, um, back in the day when I left our podcast, that episode, the abandonment of lawful permanent resident status, was my highest viewed episode, and I'm sure it was immigration attorneys just reviewing it, listening to it to get a better understanding of this law. So that's something that was uh, really helpful to the community and for the firm. So it really goes back. I studied something, I put it out there so everyone knows it's a marketing way, and customers come from it, and it helps the community. So it's really that easy in the online age. Everyone writes stuff differently, everyone talks differently. So some person might not like the way I wrote it and the way I presented in a recording, but you could go and do the same thing, write it in your own tone and do your own recording. It's the person that wants to hire you will hire you because they just like you more as opposed to me. So there's not a competition aspect, just the people who want to work with different people will connect, and you might portray the information more concise and better than I did and get those clients. So it's not something they say, okay, I wrote the seminal treatise on abandonment of status. There could be more to it, the more better explanation. It'd be personal experiences that are in there too that can be helpful. So you shouldn't shy away from continuing this stuff and putting the information out there. And for me, it's education wise, going back to help other immigration attorneys and potentially people out doing pro se don't have the money, don't have the wherewithal to hire an attorney for whatever reason, that they could just use this information hopefully to help themselves. Now, another cool thing that happens is every time I go to a conference, either SoCal ILA or NAILA National, always there's like two or three people that come up to me and say, thank me so much for like the information I gave and how much they helped their practice. They're so low to help them learn for a large firm to get a different perspective. And so that's always neat, having like community and stuff. It's always fun seeing people like your work. And I feel at first it was kind of shy. It was kind of weird getting that, but after a while, I'm like, oh, these people like it, and that's really what I'm doing here for to help people, and they're happy that I'm doing it. So that's always a good feeling inside. It's something that's going to last far beyond me with these recordings, the internet now. My grandchildren will see these videos and be like, look, grandpa really liked what he did. And he would talk about it as a professional. And all these people would download it and look at this view count, all that kind of stuff. The view count's not that big, but for the kind of boring topics I'm talking about, it's pretty high view count. If you see the podcast numbers, the video stuff doesn't go that much. But that's always a cool thing that, these videos they show a progression of my age in the last 4 or 5 years. And so I don't think I look that much different, but when I get old, I can look back on these and be like, hey, I was at a pool in Palm Springs with my family. That's how I look without the shaving and everything like that. And so when it comes to the community, it's also become much more easier to connect with people because of this. Oh, add insult to injury. Now the grass is being watered by the sprinkler. So additional noise popping in. I wonder how this recording sound is going to come. But it's become really easier to connect people when I reach out to people and they see that I do this kind of work. Some people I might ignore you on LinkedIn or something like that. Be open to say, okay, what's this person doing? Because it's obvious he's active. He's a busy guy. He doesn't just come and contact people out of nowhere. He's probably, it's got some interesting stuff. So having that kind of legitimate background helps a lot. Now, what have been the challenges? Well, the biggest thing, one aspect was just, being comfortable in talking in front of a group, in front of an audience. Second thing was the technology aspect of it, how to host it, how to distribute it. That took me a long, long time to figure it out. Now that I know it's really easy, but like that took me just so much time to figure out how to make it so that my podcast would be visible on iTunes, for example. I think it took me a year to do that, to learn how to, and it was just like putting a link in another place. It was that simple, but I was reading all these manuals and stuff and going to YouTube videos of people doing it. I just couldn't get how to do it. So that was really annoying. So one was just public speaking. Another is just the technical aspect of doing this. And then there's just super time consuming. That's what it makes it hard to be a good podcaster. And I'm not saying I'm good, but just even doing this basic job that I'm doing is to do a decent job nowadays. I have to, plan way ahead of time what I'm going to do. If there's going to be an interview, all the interviews you've seen, in the latter half of the interviews I'm doing, I spend at least an hour talking with the person before I do the interview. So we're comfortable. I know what I'm going to talk about. And then we set up a time to do an interview and just connecting with people and timing to do an interview. And there's cancellations and rescheduling, all this kind of stuff. Once I do the interview, that's like an hour right there. and then I have to spend the time editing that interview, which could be more than an hour, and prepping it, then uploading it all the various sites, which is way more time consuming, and then creating clips of them, and then doing the show notes for them, and publishing them. So there's like, you might listen to an hour of this, it could easily be 5 to 10 hours of work that goes in behind each one. And I'm trying to pump out 1 to 2 a week. You can see it takes more time than, than is required for my firm. Like my firm handles itself on 10 or 20 hours a week. I could make a good living. But that's why I need an associate, because I'm, all the marketing I'm doing, it leads to a lot more clients. I'm just saying no to people because I'm doing something for free on this podcast. The wife doesn't really like that. Neither do I. It's losing so much opportunity just because I'm doing like what was a hobby, but now that I'm doing the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox, the goal is to transition to this educational group, and for people to know that, listen, I give good information. I'm speaking from experience. So if you join the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox and become a subscriber, and purchase the products that are becoming out, all this time, these hundreds and hundreds of hours in spending, the more time you put into, there's going to be more value. I'm not going to have some stuff where I see some conferences and panels where you go there, and after an hour of talking, maybe there's like 20 seconds of value, if that, of stuff that you wouldn't just find on the internet anyways. Really, I want to teach hardcore stuff for people, both beginners and experienced people in the stuff I know, and find professionals in the other areas that know what they're doing to talk about it. And that's why a lot of my recordings now, I'm really trying to get more involved with the interviewees, so they'll know they'll be part of it and helping develop this community. But so that's the kind of hard stuff. And then developing an audience and getting the word out. Luckily, internet on its own, people go to iTunes and they type in immigration, and my podcast comes up. But there's a lot of one-on-one marketing I do, and contact people just to talk with them, let them know I exist, and hopefully at least downloads and stuff like that. And so I got enough of a group where I'm happy, even at this, but amount. But more the better for people to know I exist, this program exists, and they could get a lot out of it. So with that, now just a recap of how this 100 episodes went, how I thought about it, what I learned, what was hard about it, and all that kind of stuff. But overall, it's been a great experience, and hopefully it's something I just continue doing for a long time, because I just really have fun meeting with people, talking to people, learning immigration law more and more, especially as it became harder over the last couple of years with all the headaches that the administration had. It's actually probably pushed me to do this more, because it's been a sort of a relief being able to talk about it. It's almost like going to a psychiatry session and talking with your shrink or your psychologist or psychiatrist about what's troubling you, and letting it off your chest. And hopefully I'm not burning you guys, but you all know it's one thing, especially for smaller firms. A lot of people contact me and say, I thought it was just me. I thought it was just me dealing with this unnecessary RFE or this pushback from this officer. I'm so happy to know, it's just, there's a comfort that we know this is something we're all going through. I have a media presence, and I'm always in a suit usually and stuff. So people, have this image that they have of you, that makes them think that you're not infallible, or things that can't go wrong, or issues don't pop up for you. But that's the reality, is it happens with everybody. USCIS is indiscriminate, from if you're fragment, big firm, to small single solo practitioner like I am. And the headache is all around. It doesn't matter what kind of clients you have. It's just gone that bad. So I found it as a release and a relief, having these conversations with myself or with who I interviewed. And that's why one of the big reasons I did more podcast episodes in the last couple of years, just because of that. When I get frustrated, this is a way of just talking it through, and to help me deal with this difficulty. And, seeing our clients go through this headache, seeing the additional amount of work that comes in just because of a bogus RFE, it's like so frustrating. But then when you have a community help each other out, and through this community, if we get large numbers that work together, there's pushback. We can do what we have done. That's something I want to develop, because I feel like the other organizations aren't doing it, or doing it in ways that don't really matter. So I'm trying to figure out my own methods that could release some of this tension and make things a little more easier. And not easier, just more reasonable, logical. I'm not trying to get people to get benefits just because we're fighting them. I want to get benefits so they deserve it. And some of these people do, and they're lawfully have rights to them based on what we're doing. And so there's unnecessary denials and RFEs that shouldn't be. And so I'm developing some mechanisms. If you've seen the program and the people I'm bringing on board for the interviews recently, you can tell which direction I'm going with the emphasis I'm having. So that's going to be coming out. It's just slow. There's a lot of different things I'm doing, working with different people, but it should all be coming out. And we're going to do some fun stuff in this coming year. And so I look forward to it. Always feel free to reach out to me. If you're listening, just let me know you're listening. It makes me want to do it more and continue when I know that there's a community there. So my personal email is info@jqklaw.com. That's the firm email. And as a reminder, They have the Q&A mastermind group coming up. It's the last Friday of every month. I think whenever the last Friday of this month is going to be in June 2019. It's going to be at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're talking about some business marketing ideas. I think this time it's going to be at your website. It's SEO, search engine optimization, and also talking about INA 245K and employment cases and how that works. And so please just email me at info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Lawyers is plural S. And let me know you want to join the program and call in. The group is small. We've hit the 5-person mark already, but 1 or 2 people might not call in. So I'll let 2 or 3 more people join the call, and we'll lock it at that. And the recordings will be made available later, but it's going to be through a subscription service. But if the call-ins are free and the Q&A is free, you call in so I can share my experience. You can ask questions. Again, that's info@immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com. Last Friday of each month. Just RSVP beforehand so I could lock the group when it gets too big. And would love to have you there. I guess with that, if you're watching on iTunes, please leave a review, 5-star or 4-star, how many stars their system has. If you're listening on YouTube and watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And the more, YouTube count I have on there, such subscribers, it shows higher and more immigration lawyers can see this program is there and they can listen to it. And, the more immigration lawyers there are, the more people send me information to share, and then I can share it all with you. So it really, all the info I get, I just put it out there. So everyone knows it. I feel like it's a good way, a centralized location to share this info, both through the podcast and through immigrationlawyerstoolbox.com and through the programs I have there. But with that, I hope you all have a great week. Those at AILA National have a great time over there, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.